Enemy public, I saw your thing on YouTube, man. Keep doing your thing, bro.
Get your copy. Get your copy of Fire. It's definitely a must-read. If you enjoy hood books, this one is it. Just like the title of the book, it's officially Fire. Get it on Amazon, paperback or Kindle.
The once goal-driven, ambitious Sapphire turns to the street life after the sudden death of her big brother Dre. Dre's best friend Devontae tries to honor his homeboy's last request of looking out for his baby sister. A rebellious Sapphire makes it very difficult for Devontae to carry out his promise.
Peace. This is The Enemy's Public, and I am Bro.Nasir. We have another installment of Corrupt to the Core. These episodes write themselves because until we have a police department or any type of law enforcement, so-called authorities that's going to actually do their job instead of what they do, we will always have episodes of Corrupt to the Core. Now, this is going to be all over the United States, different areas of the country, because it's a frequent occurrence of what goes on these police departments. There's no exceptions. They're all corrupt to the core. And I'm not going to waste any time. Going to get right to it. Now, New York City has more police personnel, officers, than a lot of nations have as an army. And for some reason, they feel like the National Guard should be in the city after telling the people, according to statistics, that crime has gone down in the city. But they want to bring the National Guard over there into the subways. I looked at it, and I just made my own determination. It's a money grab, and it's a rebranding, reinstitution of, and relocating off the streets, going underground into, the subways of stop and frisk. They want to stop and frisk people So they just rebranded it and relocated it. And they're allocating money or reallocating monies to law enforcement. The police over in New York, they're already militarized, and now they want to bring the real military in. But we're going to get right into this. I'm going to share my screen. We'll get right into this. First, we're going to Houston.
This is a difficult case. The LAPD has always maintained this was a horrible accident, but the family of Officer Houston Tipping doesn't believe it. So it looks like this case will be going to trial.
I'm angry, disgusted, heartbroken. And life is just different without him because of what they did.
Shirley Huffman believes her son, LAPD officer Houston Tipping, was targeted and killed because he knew about rape allegations against fellow officers in the department.
He was concerned enough that he was looking to leave, and he had interviewed, and that was his intention, was to leave.
Attorney Brad Gage says Officer Tipping was an instructor at the police academy and was conducting a training exercise when he was gravely injured.
After he became the instructor there, one of the accused officers signed up for that class, went into that class, engaged in intentional acts against my client, including putting him into a headlock, which he admits in his deposition testimony that we have, and also picking him up in what is known colloquially as a pile driver wrestling move.
Officer Tipping was paralyzed and after 3 days in the hospital, died on May 29, 2022. But the LAPD calls it a tragic accident. LAPD Chief Michael Moore had this to say back in 2022.
Officer Tipping was not attacked. He was not beaten up by a group of officers, and he was not involved in any investigation of any police officer within the Los Angeles Police Department.
Gage disagrees. He's filed a lawsuit alleging wrongful death, battery, and whistleblower retaliation.
Having an officer who is investigating criminal acts against other employees who then dies and is killed has to be distressing to everyone. It has to concern us for public safety.
My son was a good cop. He loved being a police officer. It was what his fiber was. And I believe that when he saw something, he said something, and it got him killed.
Attorney Gage says
They will kill their own. If there's a police officer actually doing his or her job, investigating corrupt police officers, that police officer better be very careful and have his head on like a swivel, because his or her life is in danger. There were police officers, most of the police officers that I've seen, that will intervene if they see a police officer lose it and start being abusive. The ones that I've seen were females, and that's a damn shame.
he's working to depose Chief Michael Moore. He says the trial is expected to begin in late June. I'm Gina Silva, Fox 11 News.
Now we're going to go down to Baltimore.
Now we turn to a very important story, a suspicious killing of a police officer roiling the city of Baltimore tonight. No on-duty police officer has been killed in Baltimore in over a decade in a homicide until Detective Sean Suter was shot there. He was killed the day before he was scheduled to testify in a case against indicted Baltimore officers. Now, this killing, done with the officer's gun, a single shot to the head in the afternoon, is drawing scrutiny and suspicion. Audio from that day suggests a confusing scene.
We do not know where these shots came from. We have officers in bad locations. Let everybody take cover somewhere, okay?
The very next day, the officer was supposed to testify in a case prosecuting other officers for stealing money and drugs as part of an allegedly corrupt police task force.
People want answers, and the rumors are flying.
The murder happened just one day before he was scheduled to testify before a federal grand jury against fellow officers accused of being in a rogue gun unit.
He was shot with his own gun during that shooting and also at very close range.
There is a legitimate suspect on the loose.
So bottom line of that, Sean Suiter wasn't just a police officer who was shot and killed here. He was also a federal witness against other cops.
The Baltimore Police Commissioner is saying there's no link here between the killing and Suiter's planned testimony.
The BPD and the FBI do not possess any information that this incident, and it appears to be nothing more than a spontaneous observation.
Now, he's standing there reading that as if anyone would believe that. And I guarantee that this investigation of the officers is over, being that this officer has been killed. Are they going to continue the investigation of these cops who were suspected of doing acts unbecoming of an officer, stealing, planting drugs on people, falsifying reports? I doubt it.
Of a man behaving suspiciously and a spontaneous decision to investigate his conduct as part of any conspiracy. The evidence, in fact, refutes that notion.
In a moment, I'm going to speak with the former federal prosecutor Paul Butler, as well as U.S. Congresswoman Donna Edwards, who previously represented Baltimore. I begin, though, with the Baltimore Sun's Justin Fenton, who has been on the story from the beginning. Justin, what happened here?
So Detective Suiter was doing a follow-up investigation on a homicide from last year in West Baltimore. He was out there with a partner, and much of else what happened is unknown. He was shot with his own gun in the head, as you said. His weapon was recovered from the scene, but there's no video. There's no real suspect description. Authorities offered a $215,000 reward, and they don't really have any leads at the moment.
This all came out.
So they want us to believe that he was out there with his partner, and his partner allowed him to be murdered, and he got away unscathed. And they want us to believe that nothing nefarious and suspicious happened.
Right in going into the Thanksgiving holiday, why has the Baltimore police been so slow to provide information?
The police department said that they only learned of Detective Suiter's role in that grand jury investigation the day before. Complicating things is that the rumors of that had been out in the community for days. And so on Thanksgiving Eve, they provided confirmation that this was going on. And I think that it's raised a lot of questions in the community. The police commissioners tried to say that they don't see any reason for a link, primarily because he was shot with his own weapon, in sort of a spontaneous encounter, which they say goes against any idea that he, was meeting up with somebody.
But if they don't have a suspect, they can't rule out that it wasn't spontaneous.
Right, and they've actually said many times that they can't rule a lot of things out. I think there's a medical examiner's ruling of a homicide, but even there's some questions there. They're saying that they're not ruling anything out. They're also resisting urges for a federal takeover of the investigation. Some have suggested that the FBI should be taking a lead role in this.
Well, given that there's a federal nexus with the problems around the impending case, that would be one thing to consider. Justin Fenton on the ground in Baltimore, thank you. I now turn to Paul Butler, who is the author of Chokehold, Policing Black Men, and former Congresswoman Donna Edwards, who, as I mentioned, represented Baltimore. Donna, I begin with you. does this look suspicious?
Well, just for a correction, I actually didn't represent Baltimore, even though Maryland is a small state. I think
My apologies.
That's all right. I think that the citizens and residents of Baltimore certainly have reason to be suspicious given the circumstances. I'm going to take Chief Davis at his word. I've known him for many years. He actually used to represent the county that I live in. But there are a lot of questions raised here. And, good thing that, just a couple of months ago.
Let me ask you this. I don't mean to interrupt, but I don't know that it's about taking him at his word or not. I think it is that if this is an investigation of an unsolved killing and probably murder under the law, it seems suspect that he is already trying to rule things out when they don't have the information. He's not saying we're going to go wherever the facts lead. He seems to be actively taking a view of the case. If there wasn't any misconduct. Of course, this is alongside indictments of police misconduct.
Well, I absolutely agree with you. I think that what Commissioner Davis was trying to do was really to still the environment around that area. That area actually immediately after Detective Suter's killing was in effect, sort of on lockdown. And there's a lot of suspicion in the community. I've been reading online, all of the various theories and stories. And so I understand wanting to, quell the public and wait for the investigation to take them where it leads. But I have to tell you, given the history of some in the Baltimore Police Department, given the history of the department, that it's under a consent decree right now and just had a federal monitor appointed. I think there are a lot of reasons that people in Baltimore need to tread very carefully and ask the questions that need to be asked to get to the bottom of this so that the community can be rest assured that there isn't just some random killer out there, and find the person who murdered Detective Suter.
Paul?
Yeah, so there are some simple
They need to look into their rank and file. Then they will find their murderer or murderers, the co-conspirators. I always said that if half the police on these departments would do their job, the other half will be in prison.
investigative questions that we don't know the answer to. But where was Detective Suter's partner when this murder went down? Why does he have such a vague description of the assailant?
Partner.
They apparently engaged with this suspect about 20 minutes before the homicide. And what happened within that 20 minutes? Most of all, Ari, what is the motive? It's bizarre that the chief would exclude the fact that the next day, this cop who's murdered was going to testify against other police officers in a police corruption investigation.
Right, Paul, let's pause on that point. Anytime you have an unsolved mystery, let alone a rare on-duty homicide, because as rough as Baltimore is, the direct attack and shooting of officers on duty is rare. As I mentioned, once a decade, this would seem like a potential motive to at least investigate, and yet police are already ruling it out.
It's almost the first thing that you would think about, given that Baltimore, unfortunately, has a long history of police corruption and a long history of a blue wall of silence where police officers protect each other when they're implicated in crimes. And so that leads, again, to having to ask, is this related to his pending testimony? And Congresswoman Edwards is totally right that given the distrust between citizens and the police in Baltimore, when police use these aggressive tactics, like they put this neighborhood on lockdown for almost a week, you had to show ID to get into your own house, that actually makes it harder for the police to do their jobs because folks don't trust the police. Baltimore is where the Don't Be a Snitch movement started because of distrust. And again, that makes it harder for police to get to the bottom of serious homicides like this.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube.
The police use the same set of rules that street people use. They want you, the citizens, to go into their department and snitch on your homie. They want you to snitch on your homie, but if they see a cop outright engaging in corruption, they will not turn that cop in. And if anyone had the courage to do so, what happened to this cop in Baltimore, this is what happened to them. They're murdered. They're ostracized first, they put in danger, and eventually they're murdered.
The city of Commerce has fired an officer after he repeatedly charged innocent drivers with being drunk or on drugs.
This comes after an I-team investigation questioned why one DUI arrest happened, even though a nearly dozen breath tests showed zero signs of alcohol. An expert tells Fox 5 I-team reporter Randy Travis a lot of this is due to a department putting too much trust in the judgment of one police officer. Randy joins us now here on set with more. Randy.
Yeah, Tom and Courtney, imagine driving home from work or school and a police officer pulls you over for a busted taillight. You're not on drugs, but the officer is convinced otherwise. How do you prove to him you're not?
I got you not being able to maintain your lane. All right. And my field sobriety is showing me you're impaired.
Do you think this Commerce man is on drugs?
Have you smoked anything?
No.
What about this Athens woman?
They say that I've been drinking and on drugs.
If you guess they're both sober, your judgment is better than a cop supposedly trained to spot drunk drivers.
With you not being able to maintain a lane, I feel you are impaired. So I am going to arrest you.
Blood tests eventually proved they had no drugs in their systems, and they're charged.
And then making these people take blood tests to prove that they wasn't drinking. This is crazy. He shouldn't only be fired. He should be indicted.
Charges were dismissed. But that was months after Commerce police officer Cody Wood started them down a road of humiliation. He's now been fired.
He locked me up in front of my child.
You can tell that he's a piece of shit. And then to do this to this woman in front of her child. As a matter of fact, he's less than a piece of shit.
And I wasn't under the influence of anything. But
Shaquila Usher, Logan Phillips, and Christian Exxon are three of the dozen others whose DUI drug cases were also dismissed earlier this month.
Instead of giving him a ticket for the taillight, he got a ticket and went to jail for something he didn't do.
Logan and Christian say Wood never took them for a blood test. Shaquila's results were not back by the time she went to court.
He asked me if I was taking anything. I said, no. Why would I said, no. Sir, why would I be taking anything? He was like, well, your eyes dilated. I'm like, how?
How do you prove you're not under the influence of narcotics?
You can't.
All the dismissed cases involve Officer Wood. In his reports, he wrote that the driver failed various field sobriety tests, the walk and turn, the one-leg stand, the horizontal gaze.
So say you don't do drugs? All right, sir. I'm getting the nystagmus in your eyes, and then you didn't pass either one of them. The walk and turn.
The officer has to make a determination. Obviously, he's trying to do, he or her trying to make the best decision and make sure that people aren't driving on the roadways impaired.
Mike Blue.
Now this guy's going to do a little bitty bullshit of cops blaming, trying to suggest that the cops have to use discretion. Now, using a breathalyzer, and if the person, after using the breathalyzer, if it comes out zero or very low, that means the person's not intoxicated. And you're going to put them through this series of bullshit ass tests, walking. How many people you know actually do these things that they put them through as far as a sobriety test? The bullshit walking with one leg up and walking with crossing your legs and all this other crazy stuff. Most people can't do that. As a matter of fact, the next time a cop pulls somebody over, they should be doing that with the person they putting it through. I guarantee you they won't be able to do that with them. I guarantee you.
Blute teaches DUI enforcement for all Georgia police officers. Wood took his advanced class last September. We asked Blute to review some of his former students' bad DUI arrests, including one where he still arrested someone after blowing 0 on 10 different breath alcohol tests.
I don't know if I'd use the word disappointed, but alarmed maybe. I don't know.
Why would you test someone 10 times? That's harassment. When you test someone 10 times and have them blow on a breathalyzer, a different breathalyzer for 10 times, that's a little too overzealous in trying to make an arrest.
What the proper word is on this one.
He couldn't tell from the videos whether the drivers actually failed the eye tests, as Wood claimed, a key finding for impairment. Blute says what he did not see is a rogue cop, but a police department clearly in need of more training.
When it comes to DUI enforcement,
They always go back to the more training. This was clearly a rogue, crooked-ass cop who wanted to get his statistics up for arresting people who are driving impaired, but he didn't arrest anyone who was driving impaired. He criminalized people. If every person you pulled over, all these people, dozens of people that you pulled over, their charges were eventually dropped, that's a rogue cop. And the one who's saying he didn't see a rogue cop is a rogue cop also.
one thing means nothing. It's got to be it. And every officer's always heard this. It's the totality of the circumstances. Most officers err on the side of caution rather than, arrest.
Everyone I used to go to school with is gonna think I actually did this. That I really had a DUI and was that dumb.
The amount of people that he's arrested, it was bound to come back to him. I think it's karma.
Then there's the evidence against Kenyon Rollins, who's still waiting for his case to go to court.
It looked like you got something green up your nose. He said, I'm about to charge you with under influence of drugs.
Because of what you had up your nose?
Yeah. There was nothing up my nose, period. But I was thinking, what just happened? How could he do this? And,
Well, in a statement announcing his termination, the City of Commerce said some of Wood's arrests were, quote, made in error, and he failed to, quote, adhere to supervisor direction. I reached out to Officer Wood. He did not reply to a request for comment. And by the way, the GBI was asked to come in and investigate all of these cases, and they turned down the City of Commerce because they said they didn't see any criminal activity on the part of the officer.
Oh, there's nothing worse than being accused of something you didn't do, Randy. Right. I mean, do drivers even need to submit to these field sobriety tests?
Well, you need to submit to a breath or blood test if you're arrested, because that's the whole implied consent. You turn that down, you could lose your driver's license for a certain amount of time.
And that's the part of the situation that is humiliating. The police officer falsely arrests you, and then you have to go through that series of testing, including having a needle put in your damn arm. He should be indicted for this, not only fired, indicted, because someone actually have to put a needle in their arm because they were falsely arrested for something that they didn't do.
But you don't have to submit to the field sobriety test. You can say no. And a lot of people can't do those tests. They can't lift their leg up for a certain number of seconds, or and clearly this officer did not understand the signs that he was being given.
Now, looking at this officer, this cop, I guarantee that he cannot do any of those tests himself. Based on looking at him and how he's built, I guarantee you he would fail that very test miserably.
Given because these people were innocent, and he thought they were not. He thought they were impaired.
All right. Well, it sounds like some progress is being made on that front.
And I think some more dismissals are coming.
Yeah. All right. We'll see. Randy, thanks.
Randy. Okay.
Back over to Baltimore.
How's everyone? All right, good. Make sure I move the mic. Everybody can still hear. I want to make sure we have no problems. Good morning. Today I'm joined by my Chief of Staff, Deputy State's Attorney Angela Galliano, Deputy State's Attorney Tom Donnelly, Chief Steve Trussell of my Public Trust and Police Integrity Unit, and his team captain, Kimberly Rothwell. We're here today to announce that we have secured indictments against 5 law enforcement officers in 3 separate cases, with offenses ranging from assault, reckless endangerment, excessive force, theft, serious traffic violations, and misconduct in office. An indictment is not a finding of guilt. An individual is charged by indictment is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty at trial. I want to highlight that wearing the badge of law enforcement and taking an oath to protect and serve the residents of Maryland is an honor and a privilege. The allegations outlined in these indictments indicate a complete disregard for upholding the integrity, and I know many law enforcement officers that they do have. Creating a safer Maryland becomes all the more challenging when police officers sworn to uphold the law commit criminal acts against the very people that they've pledged to protect. My administration will remain steadfast in our commitment to apply the law equally, regardless of the offender, with the ultimate goal of achieving justice for victims and holding individuals accountable. In the first case, Corporal Zachary James Small, a sworn member of the Baltimore County Police Department, was indicted by the Baltimore City Grand Jury on second-degree assault, reckless endangerment, excessive force, and misconduct in office. Baltimore County officers Jacob Roos and Justin Graham Moore were indicted for misconduct in office relating to the same incident. The indictment of Corporal Small alleges that on September 27, 2023, at approximately 7:12 p.m., Corporal Small, along with the Baltimore County police officers, Baltimore City police officers, and Johns Hopkins Hospital security guards were in the 400 block of North Washington Street, Baltimore City. They were exchanging a suspect who escaped Baltimore County police custody at Johns Hopkins Hospital. The indictment alleges that officers cuffed the suspect's hands behind his back, placed leg shackles around his legs before placing him in the back of a marked patrol vehicle with a partition in front of the back seat. All windows in the vehicle were rolled up. According to court documents, Corporal Small secured the suspect's seatbelt. Shortly after being placed in a patrol vehicle, the suspect began to hit his head on the back window and stated, "I can't breathe back here, yo." Hearing this, Corporal Small opened the back door and the suspect again stated, "I can't breathe back here, yo." Corporal Small responded, "You break that effing window, you're going to get the whole can of pepper spray." The suspect repeated, "I can't breathe," to which Corporal Small replied, "I don't care." Corporal Small attempted to slam the car door, but the suspect's knee was in the way. Corporal Small then stated, "You want to get sprayed? I will effing spray you." The suspect stated, "I can't breathe. I cannot breathe." "You got all the windows rolled up." Corporal Small stated, "Yes, you can." The suspect advised that the air conditioner was not on and pleaded with Corporal Small, stating, "Please don't kill me like this." The indictment alleges that while still in handcuffs, leg shackles, and seatbelted, Corporal Small sprayed 9 shots of OC pepper spray directly into the suspect's face, then closed the patrol car door and stated, "Not doing it." The suspect began to gasp, choke, and call out for the assistance of officers while kicking against the car door to get the attention of the officers. Corporal Small returned to the back passenger's door, opened it, and pulled the suspect out by his shirt and threw him onto the ground. Once on the ground, Corporal Small took his right hand and gathered the suspect's hair, which was in a lock style at the roots. The suspect was on his stomach as Corporal Small grabbed his hair and began to yank his head back and forth for approximately 28 seconds while the suspect repeatedly asked for help, stating that he could not breathe. While yanking the suspect's head back.
Now, this so-called police officer is a wicked demon, an animal. Even if somebody's under arrest, you don't treat them like that. If somebody say they can't breathe, they're not saying it for nothing. And someone telling you that they can't breathe and you spray them with OC, mace, police strength in a closed area, that's a wicked beast.
Back by his hair, Corporal Small stated, "You asked for it. You asked for it. Just remember, I warned you." According to the court documents, the suspect lay face down on the concrete. The officer asked him, "Why can't you breathe?" Another officer asked him, "Why can't you breathe?" Corporal Small answered, "Because he got sprayed." The suspect stated that he could not breathe and asked the officers not to put him back in the vehicle. In response, Corporal Small grabbed the suspect's shirt collar, used force to lift his torso from the ground while yelling at him. After maneuvering the suspect by his collar for approximately 30 seconds, Corporal Small directed the suspect to get up and lifted him from the ground by his shirt collar. The suspect was then forced back into the patrol car where OC pepper spray has been deployed. The suspect begged not to be placed back into the vehicle, stating, "It's hot in there. Y'all don't do this to y'all's dogs, yo. Why are you doing this to me?" Corporal Small closed the door once again. The indictment alleges that Corporal Small did not call for medical assistance for the suspect, nor did he attempt to render aid to the suspect. Instead, Corporal Small ordered the suspect transported to Woodlawn Police Precinct in Baltimore, Maryland. The indictments of Officer Ruse and Officer Graham Moore alleges that at the time of the event that took place September 27, 2023 at the 400 block of North Washington Street in Baltimore City, the officers' failure to intervene in the incident between the suspect and Corporal Small constituted misconduct in office. Gone are the days where officers can just stand by and
What's crazy about this is that police officers have body cameras and there's a law on the books, a law, not a bill, not a policy. Even though it is departmental policy, the departmental policy has become a law that if they see a fellow officer losing it, doing things unbecoming of an officer, getting too aggressive, it's a law that a fellow officer has to intervene, and they don't do it. But they want to tell people that I'm a good cop or I was just doing my job by allowing another cop, a fellow cop, to be abusive to, I don't care if it's a suspect. Once you have the suspect, even if the suspect is irate, you just take them to jail. Hurry up and get them out of your custody instead of feeling that you have to punish them. The police feel that they have to punish the people they arrest.
and turn a blind eye as their fellow officers violate the individual rights or do worse to the suspects or to the citizens or residents. I want to acknowledge here the Baltimore County Police Department for bringing this case to our attention and cooperating fully with my Police Trust and Police Integrity Unit. This transparency and cooperation have been essential regarding this case. Now, in the second case is Baltimore City Police Officer Alexa Davis. She was indicted on misconduct of office, reckless driving, negligent driving, failure to control speed to avoid collision, and driving an emergency vehicle without regard for safety. On June 17, 2023, Officer Davis was involved in a traffic collision while on duty and operating her patrol vehicle on the 4900 block of Sinclair Lane. In the third case, we have Detective June Hall was indicted on theft between 100 and 1500 theft scheme between 100 and 1500 false entries in public records and misconduct in office. The indictment alleges that between November 11th and May 3rd, 2023, Detective Hall, November 11th, 2022, and May 3rd, 2023, Detective Hall had several incidents that were observed by BPD's ethics unit for recording hours that she did not work on her timesheet and using BPD vehicles for personal errands. Detective Hall was observed to have falsely documented several hours of unworked time, totaling more than $500 of theft from Baltimore City. The cases we have discussed today poorly reflect the otherwise upstanding and dedicated public servants within the Baltimore County and Baltimore City Police Departments. These allegations hinder both agents' efforts to improve community relations with law enforcement, and they do an incredible disservice to the men and women who wear the uniform and the badge of integrity. These indictments will be linked to our press release for you to review. Keeping in mind that I cannot discuss anything outside the written form of the indictments, I'll now take questions if you have any. But also please understand and remember, everyone is considered innocent until we are able to prove them guilty beyond a reasonable doubt in the court of law. If there are any questions, I'll go ahead and take them now.
So the two officers who were charged with misconduct for failing to intervene, we know there was several other officers around at the time. What did they do differently that the other officers didn't do that amounted to misconduct? The other officers didn't intervene either.
Well, there were a number of officers at the scene from a number of different jurisdictions. And what we did is we took and we looked at every single officer's body camera to figure out what they could see and what they couldn't see. And so what we really did is looking at what
The officers who are the closest in proximity is supposed to intervene. A lot of times you have officers securing the scene, keeping people back from the scene, but the officers closest to the proximity of the incident, if they see a fellow officer doing too much, they're supposed to intervene.
Every single officer where we could prove beyond a reasonable doubt. And so in looking at that, we looked at the officers that our office felt we could prove beyond a reasonable doubt. Just because an officer may have been there, what did they actually know was going on? What did they see? Where were they? How close were they to what was going on? Was it on the ground? Were they on the side of the vehicle, the car? Once we did that, our whole focus and purpose was not just to charge the police because of the police, but to charge individuals that we felt we could prove beyond a reasonable doubt had broken the law.
Could you talk about what it was like viewing that body worn camera footage?
What I will say is this, because it's an ongoing matter, I don't want to say anything that will hurt the officers getting a fair trial. Unfortunately, I'm a person and I have feelings like everybody else will and everybody does. But this was a case that, because it was Baltimore County, we don't have the body camera footage of Baltimore County officers. And I think it says a lot about Baltimore County's police department that when they saw it, they referred it to us. And rather than go into my personal feelings or how I felt, I will say that let the fact that other individuals from another jurisdiction witnessed something on body camera and they felt the need to send it to us.
Can you give us an update on the suspect that was pepper sprayed allegedly in the first indictment, and was there anyone injured in the crash in the second case? The possible victims here. Can you give us an update on that?
Well, my understanding with the suspect in the first case, my understanding was that there was an arrest warrant for felony, and on a separate case, not involved in this case, on a separate case, and my understanding, if I'm not mistaken, is that he's currently incarcerated out in Baltimore County on that case. Now, in the second case, there was an individual that was hit and hurt and their leg was amputated.
I meant the health of the first suspect.
Now, the suspect who was pepper sprayed and put in back of the police vehicle is doing time, is going to come home, possibly file a civil lawsuit against Baltimore County and he's going to win. On the other case with the officer driving reckless, that's an open and shut case. The person lost their leg because of the reckless driving of the cop. So that person's going to win the lawsuit also. Possibly millions of dollars, because the police don't know how to damn act and act unbecoming as a so-called officer.
Oh, okay. That was I thought you were talking. You said the second case. Okay, all right. The second, yes, because of the car accident. Well, they were the injuries in the sense that the pepper spray, once it was eventually cleaned off, but he did not go to the hospital. There were no documented in terms of going to the hospital, documented medical injuries or something like that. No.
And one quick follow-up. Allegedly a victim, like the others you deal with, did you give him a heads up about the indictments before you announced them?
Yes, we did.
Thank you.
Yes.
Just to be clear, Mr. Bates, so we don't really know why that first suspect was taken at Johns Hopkins in the first place. Is that what you're saying? Do we know why he was actually being taken? We don't know how he came into the jurisdiction, but we know that he had a problem with his wrist.
Yeah, we don't know, what exactly was going on, but we know he had an issue with his wrist and he was taken to Johns Hopkins. My understanding is, I guess Baltimore County had a warrant for him. I believe they were trying to serve, and then for whatever reason, he ends up here in Baltimore City at Johns Hopkins looking at the issue with his wrist.
Just I was trying to keep up the person involved in the accident that ended up with their leg amputated. Was that someone?
Real quick, so I can follow up. I'm sorry, ma'am. So basically, my understanding is while at the hospital that he did escape or he absconded from Baltimore County Police custody, and that's what Baltimore City became involved, just to fill that piece in. I'm sorry to interrupt you, ma'am.
I'm so sorry. The person that was involved in that accident, was that person in custody or was that just another person?
See, the arresting officer was highly upset because the suspect escaped, and when they recaptured him, he felt like he was supposed to punish him for escaping. That's why they put him in back of a hot police car, rolled the windows up, and then sprayed him with pepper spray. That's dirty. Even if he escaped, that's still dirty as hell. And the man said he couldn't breathe. And what he do to remedy that? Spray him with pepper spray. A dirty devil.
The car accident? No, that was a citizen who was allegedly riding their motorcycle through the intersection, and they were hit by the police officer. It's my understanding.
Mr. Reeds, I wanted to ask about the Corporal Small was initially charged with first degree.
Yes.
First degree assault. Can you talk about what evidence led to that charge and why it was dismissed?
Yes. So one of the things I think is very important is that with prosecutors, you're constantly reevaluating your case. And over the weekend, I took a lot of time to reevaluate. I did the case, look at all the evidence, look at what we need to prove, look at potential expert testimony. And it was very important that if we do charge individuals, that we charge them what I do feel we can prove beyond a reasonable doubt. And rather than just go ahead and charge first degree assault, I did feel that there would be some evidentiary issues in proving first degree assault. So I made the call to dismiss first degree assault. I think it's very important that, when you're charging an individual, I don't take that lightly at all. But I also want to make sure that we get it right and we charge individuals based on what we feel we can prove beyond a reasonable doubt.
If I could just ask another, so when Baltimore County referred the investigation, was that sort of was it started internally? Had the suspect complained? Like, how did their review get started?
Started internally. I believe they review the body camera footage of different incidents as well. It starts internally, and then from there, they make the call, and then it comes to our office, and then we did an investigation. What I will say is that, with this investigation, we really took our time. We had witnesses that we had to talk to, interview from all different backgrounds, so that we could really have a clear picture of truly what happened.
Was there in the first instance, the other two officers who were charged with failing to intervene? At what point did the prosecutor believe that under the law, they should have intervened in the course of that?
Well, I think it's important, and I think it's important to know that when you look at the law of failure to intervene, it's only been on the books since July 1st, 2022. And the legislature enacted this basically to say that if you see something, and what it says, enacted a new use of force statute expressly defining and prohibiting excessive force and requiring all officers to intervene when excessive force is being used. And then I think that is a judgment call. The officers have to make sure that they use the judgment when they see what they believe is excessive force. And then based on our interpretation of the law is that they have a duty to do something.
Since the law took effect, how many of these cases have
Any force that is applied against a suspect that is not resisting or fighting a cop is excessive. If someone's laying down, if someone's cuffed, or if someone's clearly not resisting or fighting, any force is excessive.
is this maybe the first one, and is this a message to the force? Like, you have to intervene if you see something wrong.
This is the first one. I don't know how many, across the state they've charged. But remember, we don't make the laws. The General Assembly makes the law. They made the law. And specifically, we feel for a purpose such as this to say, hey, if you see something, you have to say something, you have to do something. And with us, when we look at the law, it was something that it's on the books. We look at it, and we have to hold everybody accountable based on what the law says.
I meant in the city. I didn't mean statewide. You're saying
This is the first time we've done it in the city, but even statewide, when I talk to my colleagues, I don't know how many times they've also used this particular statute. Like I said, it's very, very new, July 2022. And so, really understanding the statute, what you have to do and what you should and shouldn't do.
People who watched the video told us it was about 45 minutes total, but the actual physical altercation was only a couple minutes. Why was there a delay in transporting the suspect to a different precinct immediately? What was going on before the altercation happened?
Well, first he was in Baltimore City Police Officer custody, and then the suspect had to be transported to Baltimore County Police Officer custody. They were doing a number of things before they then took the suspect away. So police, they're doing whatever they needed to do, talk, make sure this is the paperwork's together and everything. I believe that's what they were in the process of doing.
I just want to clarify, you said the investigation started internally, but earlier it sounded like you said other witnesses from other jurisdictions, they brought it to the county's attention?
Oh, no, ma'am. Baltimore County brought it to our attention. Okay. And then when it was brought to our attention based on their internal investigation, because we would be the organization that would prosecute it since it happened in Baltimore City, then that's how how it had happened internally. Once then we received it, we then did our basic investigation, and eventually we had to talk and reach out to the witnesses, look at everybody's body camera. Baltimore City, we do not receive the Baltimore County police officer's body camera. So we had to make sure we received the materials from Baltimore County, the police department, so that we could really do a thorough, in-depth investigation.
Broadly speaking, I see there's a number of officers listed on the indictment as witnesses. Can you speak to their cooperation in this, not only bringing it to you as an internal matter to prosecute the Corporal Small indictment? Can you speak to their cooperation in the matter?
Well, I can't really talk outside the indictment, but what I will say is that we've had the opportunity to speak to the necessary witnesses and that we're very comfortable proceeding. And a lot of what you do also recognize and see isn't in our indictment isn't just on the body camera, but it's also from the conversations and the interviews with potential witnesses.
I have a logistical question. What's the next step in all three of these cases for all five of these people charged in terms of the courts and court appearances? Have they been arrested? What are appearances? What's the next step?
Everybody's now received the summonses. Everybody's now, we believe, scheduled for initial appearance on March 13th. And then it'll proceed in the normal course of, like all cases do in the judicial system.
And in regular terms, does that mean they were told you're charged? They have, were they like the way we think of someone being officially arrested?
No, they received the summonses. These are, these counts are misdemeanors. And so they received the summonses to let them know they were officially charged. And then it's just moving and proceeding through the regular system.
Why are the charges that are unbecoming of an officer a misdemeanor? If you are violating public trust as a cop, anything a cop does against departmental policies or violating the trust of the public as a public servant should be criminal. It shouldn't be a such thing of a misdemeanor when it comes to someone who is charged with public trust. Everything that they do, if they violate the law as a cop, as law enforcement, should be criminal.
Yes.
And they're all on administrative or they're not?
That's the department. They have to make their decision. So I would like to say thank you very much for coming and have a good day. Thank you.
This next story is still in Maryland, and it's crazy how it happened. And this man had no regard
From
for
an
life.
officer tasing a man who needs oxygen.
Now, this story is crazy. Had to go back to it. Mind you, this cop is someone who looks like us. Is someone who looks like us. And what he did to this young brother is a damn shame.
Show me your hands. Show me your hands. Bring your ass over here. Show me your motherfucking hands. Show me your. Shots fired. Hey, so I got one down. Shots fired. Show me your hands. Show me your hands. Who are you? Who are you?
He didn't announce himself as a cop. He walks into the place. He doesn't say, police, show me your hands. He just says, show me your hands. I don't care if you are in uniform. You're supposed to say, police, show me your hands. But he didn't do that. He just outright shot the young brother, and the young brother was in his home.
Visitor, get up, come over here. Come show me your hands. In the apartment, roll them, roll them. You on the ground. Do you live here? Do you live here? No. Why are you in here? It's my cousin.
Why do he feel compelled that he has to yell like that? Coming into the house, shooting a man's cousin dead. The young brother is obviously scared as hell because this dude got a gun pointed at him. And regardless, none of these cops are different. I don't care if they look like us. I wouldn't trust them as far as I could see them. None of them.
Cousin house. Who is he? That's my brother.
Just shot the kid's brother, and you expect him to move and behave like everything is normal after you just shot his brother?
Yeah, shots fired. Stop me. Stop me. The road EMS, I got one down. I got another one laying on the ground. Stop me. Yo! I'm okay. I need to render aid, but I can't clear the apartment. Stop me, son. Inside the apartment. Why you in, man?
I'm staying with my cousin till I move into my own place.
How did y'all get in here?
Huh?
How did y'all get in here? Clear. Let me get up. Clear. I'm going clear. I'm going clear. Get a trauma kit in here. No, it's clear. Let me check in. What you going in and get, man? Ah! Give me light. Where you hit, man?
Hey, where's your trunk today?
The car. Somebody to bring it in. Somebody to bring it in. Like it's in his face. Yeah. Check his face. Like it's in his face. One shot. Oh, the hell! He ran in here. He ran from me when he grabbed something. Look at his face.
Why is he lying like he don't have a body camera on and we can't see exactly what happened? He did not run. As a matter of fact, where could he have ran in that area? Absolutely nowhere.
Come on, man. First, come here, Face. That's it.
Why they cutting his clothes off? If you know where you hit him at, if he shot in the face and you only fired one shot, there's no need to cut his clothes off. You didn't hit him center mass. You hit him in the face.
We need the luggage is just a face right there.
Huh? Yeah, we just want to be fired for it. It's in his face.
No chest seal. Like it's in his face. Face only.
Yeah, I'm gonna clear the rest of it. Yeah.
I clear. You can double check. Come on, man. Stay with me. Come on. That's the post. Come on, man. Stay with me.
So you shot this man in the face with at least a 9mm. Police departments carry 9mm and 40 calibers. That's what you at least shot him with in the face. And you're saying, stay with me? Shot the man in the damn face.
Stay with me. Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Got it. You sorry, you want to say? The suspended shutter came out. Yeah, it was. All right.
Yeah, I'm good, man.
I got you.
Okay.
I got you.
All right.
Now, I don't know what happened. I have to go back to my playlist. It skipped over my playlist. I don't know what happened with that, but I have to go back to my playlist. And bear with me for a second. Because when I didn't press that disclaimer fast enough, it actually kicked me out of the playlist. So I have to go back to the playlist. Bear with me for a second. Won't be long. Now we're going to go to 4 dirty cops caught fighting suspects. Let me share my screen real quick. Here we go.
To an officer on the verge of putting cuffs on a 10-year-old kid. Here are 4 instances where law enforcement officers overstepped their boundaries. On July 20th, 2018, Jawaski Mandel Collin was arrested in front of his family on various charges. Unable to bear the sight of his father being taken into custody, his 10-year-old child began taunting the officers. However, the officers unfortunately lost their patience and mishandled the situation involving the child.
I'm going to tell you the charges. All right, man. All right, now you're going to jail. Ag assault by strangulation, okay? As well as false imprisonment, okay? What we're going to do here is, I'm not the original. Calm down, man, okay? Calm down.
Stop it! Stop, what? Stop, what? Look now. Hey, chill out.
Okay.
The child appeared genuinely saddened upon seeing his father in handcuffs. Although initially comforted by the woman beside the officer, the situation quickly escalated as the officers took matters into their own hands.
Let him go. All right. Okay. Ag assault. Yep. Okay. And now, like I said, I'm not the initial officer. However, the initial officer is over at the jail, right there by the jail at least. And he's willing to meet us at the jail and have a conversation with you if you wish to do so, okay? But however, understand this, that you are under arrest, okay? All right, and we will Mirandize you if you wish to speak with the other officer, okay? But understand that anything you say be used against you. Okay, anything you say or do can be used against you in the court of law, okay? So understand that.
The officer read Mr. Mandel his Miranda rights, but as soon as they finished, the real drama began.
He's going to jail for ag assault.
But she was at my sister's house. Nobody! You can't shoot nobody!
No. Go ahead and come back.
That child should have been taken away from the scene altogether. Shouldn't have been there witnessing that, and the child is doing too much. He shouldn't be there. But regardless of what that child is saying, if a cop don't have patience to deal with a 10-year-old, he don't belong on the job. And they will not do that to their own children. They won't.
Go back in the car. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go and take him. Go.
At this point, officers were on the verge of losing their patience.
Somebody, please come get me out.
Don't do it, man.
That child should not be there speaking like that. He's not going nowhere. Don't do it, man. All this other foolishness. That child should be taken in the house. They should not allow that child to stay on that scene talking like that.
Okay. What?
All right.
You go back now. What? Why are you trying to fight?
There's a grown man standing there who should have just grabbed that child. Me, personally, I ought to grab that child and took that child away. Because there's a devil in the presence of our people and will love to do harm to that child. That cop is a devil because the way he's going to behave towards that child is criminal, and he don't care that it's a child.
Why she not getting locked up and she came to my sister's house fighting my brother?
Okay. That's not what happened. That's not what his.
Man, stop now!
No, do that. Don't grab my officer.
Okay.
Don't do that.
Yes,
Back up. Back up now. Everybody back up. Back up. Back up. Back up. Back up. Back up.
Why y'all doing this?
Stop.
The officer really smashed his head into the vehicle and then lifted him with his hand between his elbows. And if that wasn't enough, he kept yelling at the family to back up, as if he really was feeling threatened by them.
Stop! Stop! Back up! Back up! Back up! Stop! Stop resisting! Stop resisting! Back up! Help!
Stop resisting to a child. Again, the child should have been taken away. That's a child. He shouldn't have been allowed to speak like that. One of those men should have grabbed him and taken him away from the scene. And this cop standing here right now should intervene and tell the fellow cop, you can't do this. But it's the adult's fault that this happened to the child in all actuality, because he should have been taken away from there. The cop's still wrong, but it's adults charge. It's their fault for allowing this.
Help me here.
Sorry.
Calm down. Calm down, man. Calm down. You're going to calm down for a second. You're going to put handcuffs on, okay?
The officer attempted to pull the cuffs in order to place them around his wrists, but then he realized he would be committing a serious offense, so he backed off.
Stop. Okay?
I'm sorry.
You need to, okay? I understand.
Yes, sir.
You don't run another police officer. Okay?
Let
go. No. Okay? You good? Calm down. You got him? You good, man? Come on. You good? Okay, listen. If I let you up, we're going to stand up. We're going to have a conversation, okay? I don't need you running around like that. I don't need you. Okay.
He threatened the little boy, warning him that if he behaved similarly again, he could face the same treatment, potentially resulting in severe injuries.
He attacked my officer, okay? Back up. Everybody back away from my vehicle. Back up. Back up. Back up. Back away from my officer and everybody. You want to go to jail?
What are you doing? What are you doing? You so unprofessional right now. You're so unprofessional. We're not anti-serious.
They're gonna call your mom, okay? We're gonna get it. We're gonna get. Okay. Don't worry about that, okay, man? Don't worry about that, okay? You need to be there. Okay, you need to be there for your dad, okay? You gonna come down here and see him? Okay. Come on.
I ain't got his. He need his own phone to get those numbers out.
Okay. They got your mom's number. You gonna say bye? Hold on, we're gonna roll down the window. Okay.
We're going to move on from that story to another story.
Violence between two brothers, James Cawley and Richard Coleman, made by their mother in an attempt to remove them from the house. Upon arrival, instead of diffusing the situation, the officers ended up escalating things, despite the potential for a more straightforward resolution.
What's going on with you fellas?
Well, we just chilling.
Where you live?
Liar. First and foremost.
Sit down.
Let me know. I'm not gonna. This is my mother's house.
Sit down. Sit down while I can talk to you.
Where's your house? Where's your house? Where do you live? This is my house. Where do you live? Don't say nothing. Where do you live? Let me talk. Where do you live? Because here's the situation. Where do you live? Here's the situation. Where do you live? This is what they gotta get out of my house. Here's the situation. Just let them talk. Stop talking. Here's the situation. Shut up.
While the police initially displayed only verbal aggression, it didn't take long for them to escalate things to a physical harassment of suspects.
You want to call the police over here? Yeah. Jamie, stop, bro. I don't hands off me, bro. Hey, no, stop.
Don't grab me, dude. Don't do that. Wait.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. I just said stop, Jamie.
Move! Move! One of the suspects merely smashed his own table, but the officers became so agitated that he drew his taser. What followed was a disturbing display of excessive force.
Move. Put your hands behind your back. Now. Now.
Are y'all really going?
Now. Turn around. Turn around.
I know my rights.
Turn around.
We're not doing nothing.
This is why you don't call the so-called authorities to handle your situations. This happens every single time. They want you to listen to them. They want you to comply to their unlawful orders. And if you don't, they get real violent, real fast. But these little cats are frail. Now, he wouldn't have his taser out at me. He would need that firearm, because if I could hit him before he can pull it, he might as well have left the shit home.
Do it.
Okay, y'all can
Do it.
He continued to yell at the suspects without reason, even as they attempted to resolve the situation between themselves. However, when the officer drew his taser and aimed it for several seconds, it became clear that he was determined to use it.
Now. Don't reach for nothing. Do it now. Do it now. Now. Come over here. Come on over here. No, come over here. Come here. Come here. Come here! Come here! You're gonna get tased! Put your hands behind your back.
Get out my house. Get out my house. Get out my house.
Now.
Get out my house.
Now.
Now. Get out my house. Get out my house.
We're still fighting with them. Get them up here now. Now. Get on the ground. Get on the ground. Get on the ground.
Get on the ground.
Get on the ground now. Get on the ground now. Get on the ground!
Using the taser on the suspect in the blue shirt was arguably the worst action the officer took, especially considering that the individual was cooperative with the officers and actively attempting to calm the situation down.
Okay, listen!
Now!
Listen!
I'm gonna put you on the ground!
Listen! Y'all not listening!
Now, get your hands behind your back. Get your hands behind your back. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on.
Get off my hair! Get off my hair! We're not doing nothing!
The entire chaos ensued due to the officers' use of excessive force in arresting both suspects. If they'd refrained from using the taser, the situation could have been avoided entirely. The brothers were charged with resisting arrest and trespassing. Crawley faces an additional felony charge of assaulting a police officer and could receive between 2 and 8 years in prison and/or a fine of up to $20,000. An internal investigation was initiated regarding the use of excessive force, particularly the use of a taser on suspects who posed minimal or no threat. However, no further action was taken against the officers involved, despite the findings of the investigation. It's fortunate that the officers were left without any action taken against them, but wait until you hear about the complete opposite scenario, where officers nearly caused a fatal accident of the suspect. In January of 2017, Officer Thomas LaForce conducted a routine traffic stop on a 34-year-old suspect who shared the same name, Thomas LaForce, and immediately recognized him as a theft suspect. Let's see how the situation really unfolded then.
Were you on your way up to Lowe's to steal more?
No, sir. I don't steal.
Huh?
I don't steal.
You did last week.
Not me. No. I've never stole from Lowe's.
No, it wasn't Lowe's. It was Sam's Club.
No.
Right?
No. Not me.
Why don't you jump out of the car for me?
It wasn't me.
Okay. Step out of the car. Because I want you out of the car.
Up until that point, the officer had been diligently performing his duty. However, when the suspect made a wrong move, the officer reacted in a manner consistent with his role.
Registered owner and 12 hours Charlie information available.
A high-speed pursuit was initiated, which made the situation even worse. It's truly astonishing that the officer chose to pull such a stunt, especially considering the traffic on the road, which could have resulted in someone getting seriously hurt or even killed.
Show me your hands! Show me your hands! Show me your hands! Get your hands up! Get your hands up! Get out of the car!
Officers emerged from their vehicles with their Glocks aimed directly at the man, as if anticipating that the suspect might be the first to pull the trigger. However, in reality, due to the crash, the suspect was badly injured and unable to pose any immediate threat.
Here, I got you. Hold on, hold on. Stop. Go turn that off. Turn that siren off.
They broke the front windshield and extracted the man from the car.
And make sure they're okay in that truck. Keep your hands out, dude. Keep your hands out. What? Get it over there. Watch out, Greg. Right. All right. face now. Get your hands behind your back. Your back, dude. Watch the blood. Yeah, you're bleeding. From what? The glass. We got it all over. We got a squad coming? Yeah. Checking for guns. You got weapons on you, dude? No. And why you running?
Another one took off over by Geppetto's.
Despite the accident, the officers opted to collectively arrest him, resorting to excessive force, such as dragging him out of the car and subsequently placing their knees on his neck. The force, facing charges of felonious assault and fleeing, was hospitalized. 2 officers treated for minor injuries were released. It's gratifying to see cops facing consequences for such actions, and you'll equally be happy to see the same happening with Officer Tyler Timberlake. On June 6, 2020, Officer Tyler Timberlake from the Fairfax County Police Department was called to de-escalate a situation involving a man who needed oxygen while walking down the street. However, upon arriving at the reported scene, instead of de-escalating, Officer Timberlake further escalated the situation.
How you doing?
How you doing?
Good. Nice to meet you. Somebody said they needed oxygen. That was you?
Yeah.
Okay, we want to go over to the fire department.
What?
Yeah.
Hey,
You don't need oxygen?
Why need oxygen? Why you need oxygen?
12 and Bravo, I'm out with one with the fire department. He's walking around. Around in the middle of the street, rambling. Sir,
10-4-13-27.
Are you doing okay? You mind stepping out of the road, maybe?
The man appeared to be in distress for unknown reasons, but the manner in which the officer handled him was distressing to witness.
Okay, I'm here to help you. So just tell me what you need. You want a detox? So you want to go to the hospital? Okay.
All right.
Detox. Or you want to go to the hospital? Detox. You got all right. Detox. Detox. I understand. Detox. Right? You want to take that? Detox.
They're going to take you to detox. I don't know, man. Sir. Sir. Devontae, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You want to go to detox?
Yes.
All right, you got to get in the ambulance with them if you want to go to detox.
No. Speak to Didi. Speak to Didi.
Hey, Jenna, what's the address of my gas station?
So you don't want to go to detox? Where do you want to go? Would you mind stepping out of the road for me?
No.
The man claimed that he might have ingested something and needed to be detoxed, but in reality, he seemed unaware of what he was saying.
Sabaya Pittman need help. Sabaya Pittman need help.
Where's he?
Sabaya Pittman need help. Sabaya Pittman need help.
Who's Sabaya Pittman?
Sabaya Pittman need help. Sabaya Pittman need help. Sabaya Pittman need help.
So do you not want to go to the hospital?
Sabaya Pittman need help. 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 Sabaya Pittman.
Who's Sabaya Pittman?
Sabaya Pittman.
Who's that?
Sabaya Pittman need help bad.
Okay.
You can look out for 2 motorcycles receding in the neighborhood. No further, just look out. 1369. Yeah. You'll go with us to the hospital? Yeah. You get in the back of the ambulance? Yeah. Come on.
Hey, you're going to get in the back of the ambulance, right?
The officers seemed unsure of how to handle the situation and ended up harassing the suspect instead of addressing the underlying issues.
Is he wanted?
Roll over. No, 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 no. No, get it.
Anthony, relax.
Didi,
Anthony, relax.
Didi,
Anthony, give me your arm.
Didi, Didi,
Anthony.
Didi, Didi, Didi. No, no, no.
Step it up.
No, 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 no.
Come on, man. Calm down. You got cuffs? You got cuffs?
Forwardson.
Jackson, under your belly. I got him, Jackson. Go ahead. Go, Jackson.
Officer Tyler deployed multiple tasers, and to exacerbate matters, he pressed his knee into the suspect's neck while the suspect lay on his back.
All right, get the nobody on
Didi, I can't breathe, Didi.
No, nobody. On your neck. Nobody's on your neck, buddy.
Hey, we're gonna get you rolled over. We're gonna get you rolled over.
Didi, Didi, I can't breathe. Didi, I can't breathe, Didi. Didi, I can't breathe, Didi.
Hey, we'll roll you over. Are you good?
Didi, I can't breathe, Didi. Didi, I can't breathe, Didi.
We got you on your side,
Didi,
man.
I can't breathe, Didi. Didi, I can't breathe, Didi. Didi, 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 I'll tell you now, Didi. I got it. I'll take it. Didi.
Due to excessive force, Officer Tyler Timberlake in Virginia faces 3 charges of assault and battery and could face up to 36 months in prison. In addition to that, 3 other officers involved were placed on leave. In the end, the man was treated at a hospital.
Corruption and abuse of power is something that happens in every working field. In today's video, we're taking a look at police officers who were caught being corrupt. Before we move into the first police officer's corruption scandal, if you guys could go down below and hit that subscribe button, I would really appreciate it. Anyways, let's move into the video. This police officer was told to investigate a vehicle. Little did he know that it was actually a bait vehicle. And when he went to the vehicle, he pocketed pills found and also over $1,000 in cash. He then reported that there was nothing in the car, yet this car was planted with the cash and the pills by the police department. All of this was even caught on the officer's body cam.
A crooked cop is caught in the act on his own body camera video. The key piece of evidence led to the conviction of a former MTSU police officer just this month.
Now, the case started with a missing AR-15, and as News Channel 5's Nick Barra shows us, it ended with an elaborate sting, all caught on camera.
This is former MTSU officer Marco Burke's body cam video as he approaches an abandoned vehicle on campus last year. What he doesn't know is that this is a sting to see what Burke would do when tempted.
What really is called an integrity test.
Chief Buddy Peaster suspected that Burke had stolen an AR-15 from an MTSU police locker, but he couldn't prove it. So Murfreesboro police set a bait car on campus along with some hidden cameras. Officer Burke was sent alone to investigate the abandoned vehicle. Watch as he zeroes in on a bottle of pills, which he pockets. Then Burke also grabs $1,100 cash and another bottle of pills. Moments later, he reports nothing unusual to dispatch.
There were 2 officers sentenced to 25 years and 18 years in prison. This was the biggest corruption scandal in Baltimore police history. The leader of the corrupt task force was sentenced to 25 years, and another was sentenced for 18.
Vic, Sergeant.
Why was this the biggest corruption scandal in Baltimore's police history? I find that hard, very hard to believe that that incident right there was the most corruption in Baltimore. Not necessarily the police department, yet the whole county.
Sergeant Wayne Jenkins got 25 years in federal prison earlier today, and moments ago, Detective Marcus Taylor got an 18-year sentence. He gave a rambling speech to the judge. He says he is innocent. He vows to fight this. She says that she regrets that he feels he wasn't treated fairly. She gave the government exactly what they wanted. Again, an 18-year sentence for him. Judge sentenced Sergeant Wayne Jenkins to 25 years in federal prison.
Which is crazy about this, they don't get this much time when they kill somebody. They can kill somebody on camera and get 5 years, 10 years, 12 years. But if you steal from the police department, they're going to lock you up. You steal from that PBA union, or you steal from the police department, they take that serious. Life, taking a life, means absolutely nothing to them.
Gun and cocaine, probably, I would say 2 1/4 just by looking at it.
The former head of the corrupt Baltimore Police Gun Trace Task Force wept and apologized for crimes that prosecutors say included at least 10 armed robberies, planting evidence, falsifying overtime, and selling $1 million worth of drugs, including prescriptions.
The police selling drugs and doing armed robberies. Is there anybody out there surprised?
Looted from pharmacies after Freddie Gray's death.
2 police officers were arrested for public corruption charges. From my understanding, what these officers were doing was stealing the taxpayers' money. They would arrive late and leave early, but they logged their hours completely different and take advantage of overtime pay. This is stealing the taxpayers' money. Supposedly, they've made over $120,000 doing this.
Federal prosecutors say it was a years-long scheme to fraudulently obtain overtime money. Money they say was federal funding to support highway safety programs like sobriety checkpoints. Former Lieutenant Daniel Griffin and former Sergeant William Robertson allegedly arrived late to their shifts and left early and falsified records.
To create the impression that they were working the entire overtime shift, Griffin and Robertson ensured that their co-conspirators all entered the same false number of hours worked into the system and entered false citation times to make it look like they were working the full 4-hour overtime shift when instead it was something less.
U.S. Attorney Andrew Lelling says they profited to the tune of at least $120,000 in taxpayer money.
These 2 Columbus police officers were arrested and are in jail for federal drug charges. The FBI arrested them. The thing that's very interesting about this is these 2 officers are actually narcotic officers and now are being placed in jail for federal drug charges.
2 Columbus police officers are in jail on federal drug charges.
NBC4's Catherine Ross is live at police headquarters with what we're learning.
This very thing happened in my city. Narcos out there selling drugs. Happened in my city too. Back in the 90s, narcs out here snatching drug dealers up, taking the drugs from them, and giving it to somebody else to sell.
Learning about this FBI investigation.
Yeah, Hattie and Matt, good morning. Well, so far we haven't learned too much. We are expecting to learn the details about those cases when the officers appear in court later today. But so far, the city and the Division of Police here have not released any information. Now, here's what a source confirms to our NBC4 anchor, Carrie Charles. They say that officers John Koczkowski and Marco Marino were arrested on federal drug charges by FBI agents on Tuesday. Both officers are part of the narcotics division at CPD. Now, according to state prison records, Koczkowski is being held in the Delaware County Jail. Marino is at the Correction Center of Northwest Ohio. Booking information for both does not include the charges that they're facing. Now, the 2 officers are scheduled to face a judge today, and that is when we expect a lot of those records and details in these cases to be unsealed as well. But for now, live and local for you in Columbus, Catherine Ross, NBC4.
This police chief was sentenced because he was protecting drug shipments. He had an oath to protect and serve, and the way he goes about this is by protecting drug shipments. He said that even if he could go back, he wouldn't stop doing it. He made way too much money.
Major developments in another big story we've been following for months. It was sentencing day for a former police chief. Donald Solomon told undercover agents he was the best cop money could buy, and now he's going to prison for it. Channel 11's Alan Jennings is live with the video that led to his conviction and the punishment that was handed down today. Alan.
Got slammed, Vince. 11 years, 3 months. Stood before the judge and apologized to his children, the FBI, law enforcement in general, for violating his personal and public trust. The former East Washington police chief left the courthouse. His public defender attorney told him not to talk to me. U.S. Attorney David Hickton, meanwhile, called the 11-year sentence most appropriate.
The videotapes.
He was making all that money. He had a public defender attorney. Crazy. So the taxpayer's going to pay for his attorney. He said he's the best cop that money can buy, but he didn't pay for an attorney. He had a court-appointed attorney. Madness.
Showing actual drug transactions where he was using his uniform, his police car, and operating in a fashion to protect the transaction and then escort the perpetrators to Interstate 79 was beyond chilling.
Here's that FBI surveillance video of then Police Chief Don Solomon meeting with who Solomon thought were drug dealers. They were actually FBI agents and FBI informants.
Purchased law enforcement tasers for a purported drug dealer to use those tasers in collection activities were shocking, to say the least.
During a year-long investigation, secretly shot FBI video also captured Solomon delivering his intentions to make thousands of dollars.
Police corruption on any level is not surprising to me. Nothing they do of corruption surprises me.
Protecting cocaine dealers. And that's not all.
There was another line that captured some attention where he was asked if he wanted to continue in this type of behavior, and he said, hell yeah.
Solomon took about $7,800 to protect the alleged drug dealers. He'll be sentenced to federal prison. He's going to be allowed to self-report, and he asked the court if he could take part in prison ministry when he gets there. When he gets out of prison, he'll be nearly 70 years old. Live on Grant Street, Alan Jennings, Channel 11 News.
And that he said, I'm the best cop money can buy. Well, all the money in the world apparently can't keep that cop and former police chief out of jail.
There's a new police chief in town, just 6 days ago on the job, and is already taking action, already charging multiple police officers, 6 days on the job, and 6 officers getting ready to be charged. This man got his new role and seriously is making an impact on the community already. Let's hear what he has to say.
Yeah, the shoe did drop on some of these officers today who apparently were surprised at their homes and taken into custody. At least one of them apparently caught on the highway as Michigan State Police followed him from a certain location. The chief did manage to take himself and his wife to the Ypsilanti State Police Post to turn himself in. He rolled out slowly and without comment in his Chevy pickup, the former chief of police, Mike St. Andre, and his wife, Sandy, both charged but free for the evening.
I'm kind of glad it's over.
He's only been on the job for 6 days now, and already Robert Dickerson has suspended 4 officers for misconduct, and today saw his predecessor, former Chief Mike St. Andre, charged. But several days ago, Dickerson wanted to take stern action.
I was ready to terminate him last week. However, because of the fact that they were given the direction, as I told you on the phone last week, they were given the direction and their supervision from the chief. And he basically approved the stuff that they were doing on that investigation.
Action News has learned that 4 of the 6 officers charged today are the same 4 members of the Romulus Police Special Investigations Unit who were suspended without pay for 30 days last week.
If you guys enjoy more criminal or judge videos, drop a like and subscribe.
Now we're going to go over to a larger police department, NYPD. Police corruption everywhere. Corrupt to the core. All of them.
New York City police officer tonight accused of trying to sell large quantities of fentanyl, heroin, and cocaine. The U.S. Attorney's Office says 11-year veteran Grace Rosa Baez and her housemate Cesar Martinez hid drugs inside various items like a Mentos container. A confidential source says the pair sold a sample of fentanyl and was forming the groundwork for a wholesale trafficking operation. Officer Baez was already on modified duty following accusations of misconduct 3 years ago.
Well, this is going to conclude this stream and this episode of Corrupt to the Core. Again, these streams right itself with the behavior of police departments coast to coast, and hopefully they will put Corrupt to the Core out of business. Yet I don't think so. I want to thank the brother P. Moses, Dre Kyle's Music, the sister True Daughter of Darkness, Big Dog Philly OG, and everyone who tuned in for joining me this evening of this episode of Corrupt to the Core. This is your brother Nasir. Share the stream, like the stream. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the Enemies Public. Peace.
Get your copy of Fire. It's definitely a must-read. If you enjoy hood books, this one is it. Just like the title of the book, it's officially Fire. Get it on Amazon, paperback or Kindle.
Always trust everyone to be themselves, but trust in the fact that you can see them well. I mean, so it's like, you know, trust. It takes too much energy to not trust someone. I mean, it takes too much energy. You always gotta stay 2 steps ahead of them or whatever. Right. But trust them to be them.
Right. To be themselves.
Trust a snake to bite you. Right. Trust a lion to laugh. Trust a thief to steal from you. Like, trust them to be them. Too. But know them when you see them.
Whether you like it or you don't like it, you love it, you hate it, one thing for damn sure, you are gonna respect it.